I'll try. When I started thinking about how best to describe David, many different words and phrases came to mind. Quiet, reserved, independent, slightly belligerent, but Casanova, a good friend. But in my conversations with others in preparation for this moment, I realized that no one quite had the same experience with David Pena. Everyone knows him as a different person.
David Pena?
At first, I thought this would pose a challenge. But I think that the only way to invoke the true description of Jesus, David, whatever you go by these days, is to see the irrational connection of his personalities. Since I got to know Jesus and or David, I've always known him as a more quiet type. When I picture David at a party, he is the well-dressed, mannered, and calm individual in the corner. He would seemingly slowly sip his drink as he mingled with whatever lady friend that happened to set his eyes on. David can use that sexy accents and dark eyes. I learned this when I noticed that the only Princeton students who would ever wave hello to David while walking with him were attractive women. 15 minutes before the running of the Bulls in Pamplona, David had a girl under his arm. Even today, before the match, David sauntered in with a girl by his side. David to me was always a controlled, resident socialite. Many of us have been exposed to another side of David, the fighter. On the squash court, many of you have seen David's fast game, where he pounces on the ball whenever he has the opportunity, and how he scurries back to the tee. All of you guys, even Todd once or twice, has fallen to his backhand that just sticks to the wall. But what truly makes David on the squash court is his determination. When he wants something, he doesn't just go get it. He fights, runs, and bends every rule until he gets what he wants. In one of his most recent challenge matches, David ran so hard to the point where his feet looked like they hit the ball. Additionally, who can forget his 3-0 annihilation of Antonio Diaz, Trinity's current #2 player, his sophomore year at Nationals? I've never seen someone just will themselves to win as much as David did that day. And last but not least, who can forget when David demanded to change the ref during the 4th game of a challenge match, when Coach was the ref?
Yeah.
What? Are you serious? That's
You can see the fight in his face. In contrast, what breaks David on the squash court is also his determination, or lack thereof. This is where we start to see the side of David, what I like to call his independent side. Let's just say that when David's interests are directed elsewhere, he ends up playing at individuals, with a borrowed racket, borrowed shoes 2 sizes too big, a game strategy where he only aims for the nick, but which culminates in many whips instead. David has always been the independent one to disregard what was customary, and this is not only on the squash court. David's independence can also be seen in his fearlessness. For example, deadlines are no match for David. Think about doing every assignment you've ever completed the night before it was due. Who does that? I'll tell you, David Pena does that. No one has quite mastered the last-minute all-nighter to finish the paper, problem set, or even JP, quite as well as David has. I remember once seeing David on his computer in the gallery of Court 8, finishing a paper in the middle of a match. David's independence is a part of his personality, and his independence leads him to many pursuits. When David is playing squash, or not playing squash, he can be found shopping for shirts, grooming his hair, or jamming to techno. David has also traveled abroad multiple times and studies German in his free time. He even finds time to break into dining halls in the middle of the night, pass out, and claim to be waiting for breakfast the next morning.
Oh, man.
really?
Yeah.
The quiet side, the rowdy belligerent side, the noble,
God.
the fierce competitor who does whatever it takes. But for me, David has always been that guy I could grab a meal with, that guy I could always rely on to have a good time, and that guy who could always produce an amazing story. Jesus, the team will miss you, David. And despite whatever side of you we remember you by, whether the Jekyll of the High or the Jesus of the David, everyone will remember David Pena as a fearless man who marched to his own beat and whose shenanigans made him who he was. Keep up the adventures, because knowing you, there are many more stories of epic nights to come, and they are too good to be kept a secret.